Hello, everybody. This is the One Beer Podcast. Joining me today is Sports Dave.
What's up and going on, everybody?
To my right is a special guest, as we have had in the past.
Bohn, one beer too many in Chim.
Okay, you're not making your own name anymore.
How about Bohn Beer Too Many?
AKA Bon Appetit.
There you go.
Perfect. AKA James Bond.
The man speaking right now is Adam Obesius Rodriguez. You've heard me on this podcast many a time. We're doing one without Marco Dupa. He's out of town. Actually, with doing something pretty good, I guess. With his girlfriend. Yeah. Happy anniversary.
Hey, happy anniversary to the soon-to-be Dupas.
Yeah, right? Excuse me. I said girlfriend. I meant fiancé.
Fiancé. Yeah, he throws it around recklessly now.
En français.
So happy.
He's turned French all of a sudden for some reason. But yeah, congrats to them. We are recording right now without him, so hopefully he forgives us for that. But today we have a New Belgium beer, which we haven't really featured on the podcast in a while. This one is called the Citradelic. It is a tangerine IPA, 6% alcohol. You can probably find it most places because honestly, New Belgium's pretty easy to find. Yeah, not too rare.
I mean, at least in the southeast.
Yeah, coming from where we're from in Florida, New Belgium is pretty easy to find.
It's everywhere.
Anyway, let's clink it up, boys. This is the One Beer Podcast.
Big.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where I fit in.
Are these hops with the tangerine in it?
Yeah.
Yep.
They shoved the tangerine into the hops.
Slightly confused, but
Have you guys seen that fake-ass video
with the kiwi and the
with
banana.
the kiwi and the banana?
Yes. That was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, a lot of people that I'm Facebook friends with, I'm very sad to say, believe that shit.
That you could grow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully they're not your friends
Time to
anymore.
get some new friends.
They're not real friends. Not real friends.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Although it would be a cool concept.
Hybrid fruits?
I mean, just peeling away a kiwi. I mean, kiwis are actually pretty... It's a lot of work for a way for this work. You know what I
You
mean?
think so?
I mean, you have to, you can't necessarily peel a kiwi. You have to kind of...
You gotta, yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. You gotta kind of fillet it.
Bananas are very accessible. It's just like, you can go dry it, you can do whatever you want and just eat a banana. You can't just do that with kiwi.
Yeah, but yeah. I see what you're saying.
But anyway, this is an exciting conversation in the least, Adam.
Bananas.
Yeah, I don't want to
Let's talk about the weather instead.
How you guys feeling about the weather? All right.
No feelings. Great.
I think what we're really here to talk about and really want to talk about is VR and where it's going to go soon.
Oh.
We've talked about it a lot on the podcast before, but I think now that it's a thing now, guys. It's a thing.
Yes.
It is a thing. We can go out and buy and pre-order this. There are reviews out now.
I don't know if you can pre-order it. You're not going to get one.
You're not going to get one until...
It's going to take a while.
Until May. Pre-order is
Yeah.
shipping out in May.
Mm-hmm.
At least for the HTC Vive. Oculus Rift started a little bit before that. Samsung VR, Gear VR, I don't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one? PlayStation Morpheus.
The Morpheus, yeah.
It's now just called PlayStation VR, though.
Is it?
Yeah, it's no longer Project Morpheus.
All right, PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
All of these are reaching across a wide spectrum of consumers.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? What are your thoughts? Where do we start with VR? This is going to be the VR episode.
Okay.
Man.
Okay.
Sorry, Mark.
VR breakdown. All right. Well, Bohn, I think you were the first one to introduce VR to us.
Okay. Yeah. So I had I bought one of those Fireflies. Yeah. So I had the Firefly.
I love that show.
The Firefly VR, and this was actually a $130 VR piece that you could put any phone in, adjust it, and run VR apps, and they're not, these apps are not made for the Firefly itself, but you have to like do customizations to it. It was cool. So like if you want to experience VR and just like really get like a taste of it, it was cool. But
yeah, you brought her over one time. It was really cool. We saw the Insidious demo, which freaked the hell out of
a lot of people. Yeah,
it was really cool.
Yeah,
I wish you brought her over today so we could try it out again and kind of dip our feet into it again.
Yeah.
I'll have to bring the Gear VR, so I've had an opportunity to touch that, and so like the Firefly was great for what it was, but
how does the Gear VR differ from the Firefly? What makes that difference if it's just a headset?
So one of the main problems with the VR, a lot of the VR headsets, is the fogging. So like the lens itself, with the phone in there, and you know the heat from our faces, like it will easily fog up within 5 minutes or so, like that, and then that in itself ruins the experience of it. The new Gear VR that's shipping with the new Galaxy S7, they managed to space everything out and do the ventilation good enough to where you could be hours and hours into it and no fogging up whatsoever. So like my roommate has it, so I don't have one, but my roommate has it, and he has told me, like, yeah, I was like 3 hours with this thing on.
Wow.
Not dizzy.
Just jerking
no
off
fogging.
all night, man.
Yeah, just fapping furiously. Like, no, I'm kidding.
All that porn.
But like really just, you know, doing the Netflix thing, so you can like watch Netflix videos with the Gear VR now, and I guess I'm going to transition into the Gear VR. And so first of all, Gizmodo, if you follow Gizmodo, they released a article saying that right now the only VR headset worth getting involved with is the Gear VR, so not the Oculus. I mean, the Vive's not out yet, so I guess you can't really say that's the one you shouldn't buy. But
that's a pretty strong opinion, I think.
But I guess the good thing is that the Gear VR is owned, or it's a project involving Oculus already, and there's Samsung, which is a huge company, is involved in it already, and every week they're releasing new applications to come out with it. So it's not like Samsung, which is like, hey, we're going to give you this Gear VR.
Right, they're supporting it.
If something, like you just have to kind of hope something's going to come out. No, they're actually making sure that every week you're getting new content. And so those people who got it with their phones, they have something to look forward to.
Right.
Because when I had the Firefly, when I brought it over here, like months and months ago, it was like, oh, here are the current apps. Like now, maybe after a week or so later, I was just like, all right, I'm bored of this. Like I literally packed it up, put it in my closet, and never touched it again. But with the new stuff coming out every week, I think there's a lot of growth there for the Gear VR itself.
Right.
And the phones are, I mean, don't get me wrong, like the phones, the processors and the graphics processing and all of these phones are actually pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And for VR, I think it's a pretty good chance that the Gear VR itself might even outlive the current Oculus, just because of how accessible it is.
Yeah, how modular it can be with updated hardware.
Right.
If the S8 comes out, in 6 months, it's gonna fit the Galaxy or the Gear VR.
Right, and something that again, we spoke about this a little bit earlier, but it's something that everybody has already. So everybody has a phone. That's something that's a known quantity that you're already in somebody's house, basically, with that hardware.
Right.
So all you have to do is buy basically what it adds up to an add-on for basically a minimal price. It's not that expensive, and they have a VR experience in their home. So actually talking about that, it's a perfect segue into talking about the PlayStation VR.
I was going to go in a different direction with that, because I wanted to talk about the absence of the most popular smartphone.
The iPhone?
Yes,
the iPhone?
The iPhone.
Yeah.
How Apple has completely seemed to drop the ball on this.
They've lifted their arms and they've gone, not for us.
How didn't they jump on? How did they miss this completely? There's nothing anywhere about it.
Well, you know what? Let's see how this plays out, because if all of this VR stuff falls flat on its face, then maybe Apple will be the one that goes, we told you so.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, I don't think so either.
It's gotten to the point where VR is a thing now. Like, if you want to experience virtual reality, this is as close to as we're going to get. you're not going to get like tactile feedback on your fingers and your entire body and shit like that without a full body periph. But as far as visually speaking, tricking your mind into believing these things, this is as close as we're going to get. So why wouldn't Apple, one of the leading technologies in the world, not jump on this?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Go ahead, Bohn.
I would even say, even before Apple, one of the bigger industries that is picking up VR is the porn industry. And not to be funny about it, but the porn industry has a lot of purchasing power.
I don't know. I don't follow much of this. What are you talking about?
What's this phrase that you're...
What are you speaking of?
So the porn industry itself is investing a lot of money into...
Why would
VR.
they do something like that? Some sort of virtual reality environment that they could...
But there's a lot of money they can make from
They could film or whatever. Why would they do something like that? Doesn't make sense, Bohn. It has nothing to do with video games. Why would they do that?
Well, so VR has nothing... It's not entirely involving around video games. I mean, Oculus is owned by Facebook. And Facebook doesn't make video games. They see something else out of this.
Right. They see a social component to
Facebook's already started releasing 3D or not 3D 360 videos.
Yeah.
You guys have seen them. Just like the Blue Angels fucking flying.
So the Star Wars thing.
Yes,
for
that
example.
was so cool.
Right.
I lost my mind when I saw that. I was just working. I was like standing up, turning around.
And
like,
I
this
mean,
is so cool.
Think of how cool that looks, even without it being 3D, even without it being this VR like environment. Just looking at your phone.
Yeah.
And that being like in a 3D, completely virtual reality environment is just awesome. And I think that's the thing that people are missing out of this, is that obviously Zuckerberg sees something greater out of this technology. Or else he wouldn't have put up all that money for it.
Lord Zuckerberg,
we knight you.
Sorry, Bohn. You were talking about porn. I'm sorry.
And kind of to go on to that point about what Zuckerberg sees into it. I mean, I'll go back to porn. But there is a video on YouTube that you can look up, and there was somebody who had bought an Oculus for
porn.
Somebody had bought an Oculus for, I think it was like their dad, and their dad had been like physically disabled for a really long time, wasn't able to leave their house, and they developed an application where they can actually go outside and walk around, and actually using a controller. I mean, I guess it's not the full experience of it, but the fact that this person could actually feel like they're moving around in a space and be in it, like it kind of shows that there's more than just gaming involved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing, like, obviously there's more to gaming to this technology, and I've seen multiple articles about this where that 3D camera technology is going to get cheaper and cheaper, just like anything else. So as soon as somebody's able to just buy a 3D camera or 360 camera,
I'll tell you this. Sorry, don't want to interrupt. Hardcore Henry.
Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy when it releases on 3D for Blu-ray.
Just look
Hardcore
around.
Henry.
That's a movie, first-person movie. I don't know.
I've heard the name, but I don't know too much about it.
You'll recognize it when you see it. Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
That's fine.
Didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
So once people have that technology where that 3D camera, where you're able to buy it basically like you'd be able to buy a webcam, what, it's like $20, $30, whatever. Just be able to buy it over the counter. Like nothing.
Over the counter.
No prescription needed. You don't need a doctor for this. You want the porn? Get the porn. It's fine. Once you're able to get that technology, pretty easily, and it becomes this thing within just, humanity, basically.
Right.
And, I'm living here in Florida, and I can, spend an afternoon with my aunt in New York with this 3D camera in virtual reality and say hi to my family and stuff. Like, that's when it's going to be a game changer, and especially for, people that are disabled or, people that are bedridden and these sort of things. Like, there's so many different things that you can do as far as treatment and as far as, just so many possibilities that you can possibly have within VR. And of course, there's a bad side to this. There's a seedy side to this. There's, completely, I don't know, terrible Terminator nightmare dreams of people being stuck in their VR thinking it's reality.
Right.
And that especially comes into mind when you're talking about like augmented reality, where it's like you're seeing reality, and then it changes. You know, like that just seems like a fever dream that's
Yeah.
just waiting to turn on us.
So
but-
yeah, so like I saw, like I was looking for a Gear VR for myself because my roommate was like, hey, there's apps that you can have multiplayer games and you guys can all interact with each other, and I have a Galaxy and he has a Galaxy, whatever, and I went looking on Craigslist for actual Gear VR, and somebody was selling one. They retail for $99, but this guy was selling it for like $65, something like that. And in his description, he's like, I have a conspiracy mind and I don't believe in this, and it kind of scares me. And like he literally wanted to get rid of it because he was just like, this feels evil to me. And like there are people out there, like I didn't even think about it like that, but when I saw that post, I was like,
so he didn't throw it away. He sold it for $65.
he sold it. Well, he's still trying to sell it, and I might even go meet up with him and try to buy it from him. But it's just the
Don't
fact
meet with that man, Bohn.
but the fact that somebody, I never would imagine somebody would be like, you know what, that's evil. Like it's you know, it's gonna ruin people's lives. Like and people felt that way about technology for years.
Oh
and
yeah,
years.
for sure.
But now this is bringing it to another level.
It's a
for those
natural
people.
fear. It's a natural fear that we had with radio, with TV, with the internet,
with
social
media, social media,
everything.
social media.
Every step along the way, like there's always been these hiccups. And I mean, it's not to say that those fears are irrational, because they're rational. You know, like it's scary to think about what possible bad can happen out of this technology. We're always waiting for that sort of turn. You know, I mean, maybe it's not necessarily AI where we're just like, okay, these things are going to turn on us and become the sentient evil thing.
Did you guys hear about Microsoft's AI?
Yes.
I know you heard about Microsoft's AI.
No, I don't know about this.
It's racist.
Yes.
Oh, the Twitter bot.
They released a Twitter bot,
yes,
and
I know about this.
within 24, 48 hours, it became a Nazi lesbian that hated everything.
Yep,
it was
racist.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well,
just based off things that it learned on the internet.
Thank you, internet. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you let a bot like that is able to be morphed on Twitter. People are going to
maybe not morphed. Maybe it just went numerically through websites and landed on 4chan.
No. That's funny actually, because people like actually made it a thing to go in and corrupt this. This bot.
Yeah.
They had a purpose behind it, and that's why it ended up being what it did.
I love that happened.
Yeah, that was a really interesting article about it. And AI hasn't even. I mean. So there's growth in AI, there's growth in big learning, but VR, I guess going back to VR again, like when you say possibilities, there's that, like AI joining in with like VR, that's probably a good 20 years away, maybe 15 years, I don't know, depending on what it is. But like right now with VR, it's still learning stages. And going back to the porn thing, like my point with the porn thing is that
that porn thing.
No, really, like for the porn industry to take hold of something and really, really invest so much money. So like Pornhub, for example, is
I don't know about this.
Whatever. You guys can all deny it if you want.
So
Everybody
early,
knows what it is.
So early in its development.
But Pornhub is coming up with a lot of VR content for people who are getting these Galaxy phones. Like, because it's so accessible to people who bought these phones, it's making VR a big thing for people.
Right.
So like, yes, the Oculus, you need a crazy computer to run it. For the same thing for the Vive, which is not out yet. And the PlayStation, honestly, I don't feel like there's a lot of hope for that one. But as far as Oculus goes with the Gear VR, there's just a lot of development and availability for somebody to just like introduce new things for that audience. I guess it would be. Yeah,
it opens the door for the technology.
Right, and developing applications for it is not difficult in comparison, and you can probably translate a lot of it into like the PC and things like that.
You could probably build up to like a full PC release or something.
Right, and Google's already doing stuff with it. So there's a lot of big companies who are saying this is going to be a new thing.
Right,
you know
they're buying into it.
Facebook, obviously, owns Oculus. So.
Even Sony, even if you don't have real hope for that VR headset, it's still a huge company investing in the technology. So even if the PlayStation VR doesn't make a big hit, it's just showing that they're willing to put their money into it.
Yeah. And my only thing against the PlayStation thing is that your ability to get new content is not as easy as if you were on a PC or if you were on a mobile phone. I think it's less XS1 So
What the hell?
awesome.
Sorry. We dropped some stuff. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I understand what you're talking about with the PlayStation, that being a negative, but I think a lot of people see that as a positive.
Yeah.
You know, it just being a known quantity where if I buy a PlayStation and I get a PlayStation VR headset, it's going to work out of the box.
Yeah.
Like, no question. I'll buy a game for it and it's going to work. I don't have to update drivers. I don't have to make sure my PC's compatible. I don't have to worry about, what level of quality I can run it on. It's just plug and play. And a lot of console gamers don't want to have to worry about that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, that's the benefit of having a console. You don't have to worry about shit like that.
Right.
But at the same time, you're not getting the best experience that you can for your money's worth.
Absolutely.
You're also not getting the amount of content you can get for your money's worth, because there are so many games on Steam VR right now that will never reach the PlayStation.
Yeah, absolutely. No question.
And mainly because Steam is backing the Vive. Like, that's its baby.
Right.
Yeah. And honestly, VR as a technology is very lucky that these companies are backing it, because, if a company as big as Steam did not back it, and we were looking at, like, I don't know, some sort of smaller company just making a VR technology, it wouldn't be nearly as accessible and nearly as popular, I feel, as the current ones are, because they are being backed by Facebook.
No,
right.
And these VR headsets are being backed by huge
Sony
companies.
And so another thing is
Samsung, Sony, Valve,
right,
HTC,
right,
or not HTC, Valve, Facebook. Just huge companies with just money to throw at them, man.
Right. And I think that if you're somebody who's really, really interested in VR, being kind of vested into the PlayStation version, I feel like it's limiting, because what type of content would you expect to get from the PlayStation VR versus being on a PC? So, like, for me, example, I like the PlayStation. I like the games that come out on it, but I don't want to be limited to just using my VR headset for video games. Maybe I want to be able to use Photoshop, for example, in a VR headset. Yeah, I've seen it. Awesome. So, like, I don't want to limit myself by just be saying, "Oh, I'm going to get it for the console." And how much is the Morpheus or the VR?
$400.
It's going to be $400. So, I mean, the Vive is not too far away from that. The Oculus is not, it's pretty comparable in price.
But it is if you're looking at buying a brand new PC.
Yeah,
if I don't, like, okay, for instance, for my personal situation, I don't have a PC.
Right.
So that involves me getting, at least $1,000 PC, right? Maybe $1,200, really, if you want the top line stuff.
Right.
Plus the cost of the VR headset itself.
Right.
So with that buy-in, that's too much for me to even consider. Now, if you have a PC already that you can update, it's not as bad.
Right.
If you have a PC that can run this sort of stuff right now, it's not bad at all. There's no question. If I had a PC that could run VR right now, I wouldn't even consider the PlayStation VR, honestly, because they don't have exclusives that make me go, I need to get this PlayStation VR.
Right.
But that being said, since I don't have a PC and I'm a console gamer, I am considering getting a PlayStation VR.
Right.
Just for that reason. Just so I can experience it. Because, I hear what you're saying, where it's like only PlayStation can only play video games.
Right.
Like alone. Only video games are going to run on the PlayStation. But something I'm interested in seeing is sort of that theater experience that people are always talking about. With watching Netflix and all that type of stuff. Because I'm a big movie watcher. I'm a big TV watcher. And honestly, just being able to go into my room and put the headset on and be like, I am in this, IMAX theater all of a sudden. Obviously, the resolution is not going to be as good. But just having that sort of virtual experience, I think, is worth it to me.
No, definitely. I could see that.
But, so, Bohn, Bohn.
Yeah, I'm looking at the HTC Vive.
I think the Vive is definitely going to blow the Oculus out of the water, but I think there's still the point that VR is nowhere near where it could be, and all the hardware that's coming out
just the beginning
is really first generation.
Yep.
The resolution on all the hardware is not going to be anywhere near where it should be to be like reality. So it's like everybody who's going to be buying this thing is kind of like I don't know. I wouldn't even call it investing. Maybe they are investing by buying it just to show interest. But there's going to be another version that comes out that's going to be better. It's probably going to be cheaper. The new architecture for graphic cards are going to come out this year. So there's just a lot of things happening right now, and it's kind of a tough decision to be like, you know what, I'm going to invest in a new Oculus or a new Vive, and that's where I go back to where the Gear VR is like the perfect middle ground for somebody who just wants VR, don't want to spend a lot of money, and they just want to experience it. And there are applications where you could plug your PC, regardless of your video card, into your phone or your Gear VR and still experience some of the applications out there. And who knows what's going to happen with the Gear VR later. Like somebody might come out with something where you can play Elite Dangerous on your Gear VR through your phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hey, that might even be the best thing for you, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, all things said, I feel like we're obviously at the very beginning of this thing.
Yeah.
You know, if people show... That's the thing, though, because if people don't show enough interest now, then we're not going to see an iteration of these things. Porn. That's all I'm saying, porn. No, I mean, honestly, I completely agree with you, where it's really porn that leads technology in a weird way. Because you see it with VHS versus beta.
Right.
You know, the porn industry went to VHS, not beta, even though beta had better resolution and was technically a better product. They went to VHS. Same thing with DVD. They went to DVD.
Right.
And that worked.
You sound like a porn hipster.
Then it went
right
to...
now, by the way.
Well, that's the thing. And then it went to Blu-ray. It didn't go to HD DVD. It went to Blu-ray. And that's why Blu-ray survived. Like, honestly, that's the way it goes.
You just got a whole stack in your closet, Adam. Just that whole
next to the record collection.
progression. Just beta to VHS to DVD.
Yeah, HD
to
DVDs.
Blu-ray.
Yes, exactly.
Is that why you're always locked up in your room, man?
I'm not going to tell you. You'll never see me again once I get to the PlayStation VR. Bye.
Oof.
Bye. So anyway, that being said, I think we're at the precipice of where this thing's going to go. It's going to be very interesting in the next 5 years or so to see where we end up. Because this upcoming year, the rest of this year, is when the next slated VR headsets are coming out. So I'd say by the end of the year, we'll know the reaction of the public. We'll know if people, other than us, because we're talking obviously in, you know, this vacuum,
right,
where we're all into it and we know about this stuff. We're aware. We're aware of all this stuff. But there's tons of people out there that don't even understand what VR is. You know, you say VR and they go, "What are you talking about?"
I'm gonna have a VR party.
It's gonna look so sad from the outside.
No, when I get mine, I'm just gonna set it up in the living room. That's where it's gonna be. Just gonna have people over and just experience that shit for the first time.
It's just gonna be weird to watch because it's like if you're not in it, you're just like watching the dude with the headset on.
What's cool is like I was watching the demo on Steam today, and what they have is just like people in a green screen room, and what they do is they'll take people that are in the headset and they'll green screen the environment around them into the same shot that they're in. So they're seeing what they're seeing in the headset. Everybody's seeing what's around them in the headset.
Oh wow.
That's cool.
It looks really cool, and then like people can see that on the TV, and if I could, probably won't be able to emulate that, but if I could just at least see what people are seeing in the headset on the screen, it'd be a really cool experience for everybody, because they have a whole bunch of demos, and by the time I get it, there should be even more out.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Vive that makes a big differentiator between that and the Oculus Rift, is that it has that sort of room sensor. Where you and that could be a downfall for it too, because there's a lot of people that live in New York and a lot of people live in, you know, bigger cities that have smaller rooms and smaller, you know, like areas that people are able to actually use. So your room can actually be too small to really effectively use the Vive.
Right.
So the living room would probably be the best experience for that, because you have that sort of room tracking and it'll be able to pan out the entire room.
Right.
Whereas a bedroom won't necessarily work for it.
Right.
So that may limit it as far as
unless you're watching porn.
Unless you're watching porn, which you can do that anyway. So
have you guys seen the HoloLens, the communicating thing where you could actually have a telegraphic version of a person
that's
there in front of you?
Microsoft, right?
Right. Microsoft is doing that. And it's a kind of a stray away from VR, but still an interesting...
It's a step off in augmented reality.
Right. Okay, I guess so. You're right. Yeah.
Which is very interesting, because I love that these companies are going in different directions, because that innovation means that they're probably eventually going to master whatever they're doing, and I think we're gonna get better products out of it instead of everybody trying to emulate each other. So I'm interested to see where AR goes as well.
Yeah, of course.
It's something that a lot of people are not talking about right now because VR is so hot, but I feel like honestly, augmented reality has equal, if not greater, possibility and promise with it as virtual reality.
Right, yeah.
Because a lot of people are worried about, okay, you're closing yourself off from the rest of the world. Like, that's very limiting. Whereas if I were to have something like Google Glass, but I can play like a mini game in it that turns everybody into potatoes.
Right.
Like, it's interesting. It's just an interesting thing. I don't know.
Just imagine Adam on a subway like,
potatoes.
Boop, boop, I'm so hungry. Boop, 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 boop. But yeah, I don't know. We're in a definite sort of, again, precipice for where this technology is going to go, and I'm very excited to see where it comes in the next 5 to 10 years.
What are your favorite VR games demos that you guys have seen so far?
Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, definitely
for sure.
But you need the throttle and the control stick to enjoy that, really.
Yeah, true.
That was my issue when I tried Elite Dangerous with the Firefly, my phone, and I hooked that up with a program that actually let me use my phone sensor with the game, and I could see it being cool because being able to be in a spaceship moving forward, you're looking around, and you can look at different controls and see them change. It was really cool, but it just wasn't perfect. You know what I mean? And maybe with the Oculus Rift, it'll be perfect, but the game that I tried, which was literally yesterday, I think it was called Smash or something, and it's basically the game where you're traveling through a space and you have to throw marbles through glass pieces of things, and there's these cones, and every time you hit a cone you get three marble balls, and you get these doors that come up and you have to hit them, and it's a really simple game, but just being in it and being able to shoot things that I don't know, it was just a good experience. And
how are you shooting? What were you controlling to shoot?
So the the Gear VR has a button on the side of the headset, and you literally look around and you just hit whatever it is.
You're Cyclops, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're Cyclops. And I guess maybe you could buy a Bluetooth controller and you can have that hooked up to it so that you can just look around and do your thing. And I mean, that was the only game that I tried with the Oculus. I'm sure that there's going to be other games that come out. Imagine, I think when the Samsung Galaxy S first came out, there was a game where you're in a gunner. I think it was just called Gunner, and it was aliens coming after you, and you looked around, you moved the phone around, and you would shoot them. I could see the Gear VR having a similar game to that, and there's just for the Gear VR to come out and be so it's new, and these games that I've tried have been so good. I think that there's just an opportunity for newer games to come out that are just going to be blowing you away, and still accessible to everybody that can't afford a new PC and a Oculus. So the Smash game was definitely perfect. We've seen what the scary stuff have done to people. So
there's actually and I mean, mind you, this is completely pales in comparison to the actual game, but on PlayStation VR apparently there's this on-rail shooter that's themed for Until Dawn that I'm very interested in playing, just based on the theme itself.
Okay. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an on-rail shooter you're getting into, but in VR it might be a little interesting.
You'd also have to get the PlayStation Move to play that.
The Move?
Yeah, Move controllers, those
little
batons.
Right.
I already have the camera, so if I were to reserve that, I would only get the basic version, and just buy some Move controllers. They're gonna sell it to me. It's fine.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. I would probably be forced to buy the Morpheus or the PlayStation VR if they managed to come out with a new Gran Turismo that worked with that.
They're doing that. They have already
Project Cars is VR ready.
Okay, so Project Cars for PC, right?
No, for PlayStation. The game itself is VR ready, yes.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Well, they also have a Gran Turismo VR that's specific to VR that's coming out.
Really?
Yeah.
But you'd need to buy the steering wheel.
Which is $200-$300. So,
But you know, I understand what you're saying, and like that,
This guy wants to buy a $99 headset, but a $300 steering wheel.
worth it.
it's definitely worth it for Gran Turismo. I mean, I guess I'm a gearhead. So
See, that's
it's worth it to me.
That's the thing though. Like
I could get into it for some fucking racing games,
Yeah.
man. I'm gonna be
people
nerding out.
that I've heard that have already played racing games in VR, and I'm not sure which one it's probably Project Cars, to be honest with you. But people that have done that with even just a regular controller have said that the difference between playing a normal game on your just regular screen, a racing game, and being able to play it in VR and actually see within the driver's seat of the car, look around and see like this guy is close enough to me that if I turn right now, even a smidge, I'm gonna bump him. Like knowing that and turning a corner and just having that strategic advantage is like the difference between playing a 2D game and a 3D game. Like that's the real VR advantage that people haven't experienced yet until you actually get to play it.
So juiced for that, man. I can't wait till I'm able to play a racing game like that, dude.
Yeah, definitely excited for it. I mean, it's gonna put an end to the whole 3 monitor madness with like certain people used to buy literally 3 monitors, put like a cockpit,
right,
and like have their
so they have a
screen
Caddyshanks
span across. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now it's just like you have VR, and you just like you don't need 2 screens to do anything.
That's what I was thinking of with the that desktop utility for VR.
Yes, exactly.
You don't need monitors anymore after that.
Right.
You can create a home theater if you want. You can create no longer desktop backgrounds, desktop environments.
Right.
And imagine being able to bring that technology with you as you travel, and just being able to have
porn.
Yeah.
Just on your
just porn. Just
in
porn
a
everywhere.
porn scene.
Just porn everywhere.
Everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm most excited about the game that lets you. I forgot what the name was, but it lets you swing through trees, like Spider-Man.
Yeah. Spider-Man physics.
It's not. I mean, that's not the name of the game, but
that's why I called it.
It's like this. It's a very basic polygon kind of game, and you swing, you jump, you run, you jump, and you can shoot off a rope into a tree. You grab it, you swing.
Wait, how do you grab the controller or
the Vive controller?
Oh,
so you swing, and then you swing onto the next tree, and you can literally just Spider-Man it the entire time. It looks amazing. I'll show you once we get off.
Yeah, I gotta see that for sure. And Steam's already coming out with like I don't know if you've seen your game list, but if you have a VR game on your list, it separates the content there. So they're already kind of trying to plant the seed into you, like, hey, you have these games that are VR ready.
I love seeing that because it just shows that they're willing to support this technology.
I have a couple VR ready games.
Yeah.
Albino Lullaby is one of the games that I have that is VR ready, which is a weird ass game.
I haven't played that.
Man, that shit is weird.
All right. Well,
Adam.
Yes.
What game are you looking forward to?
I already said.
What?
I already said mine. The
Project Cars?
No. Not the Until Dawn one.
Porn.
Porn is the game I'm looking forward to. Yes, Bohn. Thank you. No. It was Elite Dangerous.
Oh, that's right.
Elite Dangerous is my game.
Yeah.
I mean, Elite Dangerous as a game, though, as itself, without the VR.
No.
Is it?
The experience itself is what you're going for.
Exactly. I want to be able to look. I want to be in the cockpit of a spaceship and be able to look around, target ships with my eyes,
right,
and live that fantasy.
Wait, you can't target them with your eyes, though.
I can if I want to, Bohn.
I don't think so.
Don't limit me.
I don't know how Elite Dangerous plays, so.
If it's not Elite Dangerous, there's another game that is that sci-fi spaceship shooter.
What's this game that we've been playing?
Oh, dude, Fractured Space?
That game would be perfect for VR.
That really would. That's
anyway,
really
I keep hearing.
I really like that game.
I keep hearing about this space shooter. I'm pretty positive it's Elite Dangerous, that you're able to
Elite Dangerous.
be in a cockpit.
Yeah.
And depending on where you look, that's where your ship locks onto.
It's cool because there is an exact throttle and stick control that mimics the exact ship that you're in. So it has the hat controls, so you can switch your weapons and everything. It's got the throttles and it has the pitch
and yaw,
and the roll controls all in the joystick, and so it's all right there. So if you're flying and someone shoots you from behind, you just yaw that bitch around, swing
so
around,
yaw, bitch,
and,
yaw.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's gonna be a while for me. I guess I just feel like it. I mean, like I said, yes, Gear VR is great, but gaming's not there yet. So
Right.
I was all about the Oculus and buying it and having hardware ready for it. I mean, I got the video card, but even the video card, I know it's not gonna run it as it should.
Right.
So I'm probably gonna say I'm gonna wait until the next generation of VR headsets come out. I'll probably wait for you to get yours,
Yeah, you will.
David, and then just come over. But I'm gonna wait for the next generation just to see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's go into these beers. What do you guys think of the New Belgium Citradelic Tangerine IPA?
You know, I didn't think anything special of it.
Mm.
I kind of drank it pretty quick. Didn't really. I'm not gonna say I didn't enjoy it, but there was nothing that stood out to me about it. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Really,
Bohn?
for real.
I'm gonna follow the same thing. It says tangerine, and so there's a lot of citrusy IPAs out there, and at least they kind of make it feels like the effort's there. So you have some kind of like flavor there to kind of say, oh, it's kind of citrusy. This is just more like it's an IPA. I get it, but the tangerine is definitely not there. So I'm gonna go with the same score, 3.5.
Okay. That's really disappointing because I remember when New Belgium like first came out down here and people were freaking out about the fat tire.
No, you were pumped.
Well, no, because
ironically or fittingly, you were pumped about the fat tire.
Okay, yeah, that fits.
Okay,
that fits.
Fittingly.
Yeah, no, I heard a lot of buzz around town about the fat tire.
Buzz?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a little deflating now with their Citradelic.
It is.
It almost falls flat, Adam.
All right. Well, the way I feel about this beer is the way I feel about David's jokes. It was all right.
It's for Gavin Benner.
We remember you. Yeah. No. I mean, I completely agree with you guys. It was okay. Like, it's a fine IPA. If this is what they got where you're at, go ahead and pick it up. In my opinion, I think it's fine. It'll do the job, but it's not outstanding. I would also give it a 3.5.
This is the first time they've all given the same score. You guys all given the same score?
Oh no, we've had
we've given a lot of the same scores. I don't think we've ever given one this low.
You know, but I feel like we should.
We'll have to go back. We probably have before, but it's very rare that we give a score this low or unanimously.
We generally like beer, so.
We also just came from a beer parlor, so that might
True. We just came back from red light.
Still though, like this is a different kind. Like we had a buffer in between where we came home and we ate chicken wings.
Yeah.
So that cleansed our palate. So this should, tickle our fancy.
I'll tell you what, it's much better than PBR.
I'll tell you what. Did you finish it yet?
No, not even close.
Well, you're not getting a second one until you do.
That's fine.
Shout out to PBR. Just kidding. Don't shout out to PBR.
This has been the One Beer In Podcast. My name is Adam Obesis Rodriguez. That is
Sports with Dave.
And that man is
I can't come up with names anymore.
Bonzilla.
Bonnaroo.
Arthur Bonzarelli.
I like that one. Thank y'all for joining us. Good night.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out, so cold when it's light out. It hurts to realize what you want. Sometimes it hurts to realize what you want. Sometimes.
I was watching a documentary, and they started talking about. Actually, it was Morgan Freeman's Through the Wormhole. They started talking about lies and why people lie. Blah blah blah. Long story short, they started going into how people see and how vision kind of evolved into what we need to survive. Right. So they used an example of a frog or a toad, whatever, and how they see. And what toads see are just movement. They're able to see just darkness until something moves. They're able to see small little objects flying through the air, and they can grab them like little flies and eat them, which was cool because I thought that's how humans evolved. We evolved to be able to see these certain spectrums of colors, to be able to survive and see things that we needed to.
Right.
But we've discovered that obviously there are forms of light beyond what we can see.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, what does reality actually look like?
Yeah.
When I'm flying in the air in a plane and I look out the window, is the sky actually a beautiful blue, or are there rays of light that my eyes can't perceive that are out there?
Yeah. Oh, that's why they say perception's everything.
Perception is reality.
Right.
Yeah. But I think it's very cool because it makes me curious to want to see things like that.
Yeah. It's true.
Like a little bullfrog.
You will only ever see what humans see until we get to the future and you have robotic eyes.
And then there's a fourth dimension.
Yeah.
So we could never imagine what...
Well, maybe we won't have to with VR, guys.
Well, VR is only 3D.
Well, VR can augment.
Nope. We'll never be able to understand fourth dimension.
What's a fourth dimension?
That's why you limit yourself, Bohn.
What's a fourth dimension, Bob?
As 3D beings, we would never be able to perceive what a fourth dimension is.
Hey, speak for yourself, all right, buddy?
So
I'll do what I want. This is America.
We'll make 3D great again.
Did nobody grab the bottle openers off of the fridge?
No, I got one right there.
Oh, okay, it's behind. Oh, you grabbed the little crappy copper tail.
Yeah, well. Sorry, Coppertail makes bad bottle openers.
Yeah, man.
So imagine you're a two-dimensional being. You know forward, backwards, left, and right.
Right.
How do you explain up and down to a 2D dimensional being? You can't, because they only know left, right, up, down. I mean, left, right, back, and forward.
Do you think humans could ever... Let's say we discover the fourth dimension.
So what is the fourth dimension then? Is Shrek 4D the
So,
fourth dimension?
So 2D is forward, backwards, left, and right.
Right.
3D
On a solid
is
plane.
up and down.
Yeah.
So if a being only knows those directions, and they can only see in those directions, if a three-dimensional being is traveling through their space, they only see pieces of that three-dimensional being as it's traveling down. So for us, it would be, for a fourth dimension, it would be pieces of a four-dimensional being traveling through our space. But
what would the fourth dimension be? So we have up,
nobody's
down.
ever figured it out. Okay, so for example,
Shrek 4D is smell, Bohn. So are you telling me Shrek 4D is a lie?
So
'Cause it's not.
what's this movie? The
Navigator?
No, the movie with the wormhole, and it was like the most accurate depiction.
Interstellar?
Interstellar. So Interstellar says the fourth dimension is time. So you can
And
travel.
love.
Was it love? I guess it depends on how you see it. So time as a fourth dimension, as in you can travel through
time.
time. Yeah.
It's the trope of sci-fi where it's
Right.
like time is its own quantifiable thing that you can sort of manipulate, and
Exactly.
there's no end to anything. It's all just it is its own.
What do you
thing.
guys think is the most plausible excuse me, the most plausible time travel theory?
I mean, I think the most plausible thing is what we've learned from science, which is that you can go forward in time, but you can never go back. Like, it is so easy to go forward in time, just based on actually what's in Interstellar. That's actually scientifically accurate with the gravitational pull, the mass of a planet, and you going at the speed of light.
Jesus Christ, Adam, you're drunk.
If
Bohn,
you-
what did you think?
Repeat the question again.
What is the most plausible? All right, so there's many film theories of time travel where like you can go back and forward in time and no consequences occur. Then you have the butterfly effect where you go back and forward. If you go back, you step on a butterfly, it causes a huge war in the future at some point.
Right.
And then there are other theories that say if you go back in time or forward in the future, you're creating a separate branch, a separate timeline that runs parallel with your timeline.
I mean, there's the idea of there's multi-dimensional, like there's different dimensions.
The multiverse.
So
The
okay,
multiverse.
so you're going with the Abed theory.
But I agree with Adam in that you can't go back in time, and the reason being is that the universe is constantly expanding. So for you to say you're going back in time, it's like saying you can make the universe shrink, and that's not going to happen.
So you don't think it's possible to go back to a time where the universe was smaller? No, you're not necessarily making it shrink. You're just kind of popping up there.
I think to think in that way, you're thinking of time in a specific definition. So like, the universe itself is supposedly not tied down to time itself. So like, you can warp times, like you can warp time and travel within what you perceive to be a few minutes, but it could be a bunch of years. So the idea of a train driving, like passing by you, and the sound as it travels towards you changes in pitch as it's passing by you, and it's because of the distance that the actual train is from you.
I feel like you've studied this for a while.
I spent a lot.
This is going a little deeper than I thought it would.
I can't remember who it was, but it was
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No. It was the idea that
You must go derper.
that as the train got closer to you, you were more able to hear the sound in a certain pitch, but as it traveled away from you, it changes. Like the sound takes more time to come towards you, but that train itself, as it's moving, doesn't know. It doesn't go through the same, I guess, effect or whatever.
The sound, if you're sitting on the train sounds the same.
Yes.
However, if you're at the train stop and it blows
Passes
by you,
right.
it sounds different as it's coming, as it's there, and as it leaves.
Right.
So our perception of it is different at those stages. However, if you're on the train itself, it remains the same.
Right.
So
Adam has studied this.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's no way to teleport on the train as it's coming, on the train as it's there, and as the train as it's going?
I guess my approach is, you say plausible, and it's really, there's at this point there's no real plausible explanation for time travel,
especially for going back in time.
Yeah.
There are, very concrete theories that, and I think they've actually proven this, that if the further you are away from the planet Earth, and you're doing the orbit around the Earth, the people on Earth, because they're closer to that orbit and closer to that mass of the planet, they age at normal Earth speed, but the people outside, around the space station and stuff, age a little bit slower, just that little pinch slower, because they are further away from it. So there's I'm obviously not a neurophysicist and astrophysicist. But
you're not Neil deGrasse.
I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson, but
Excuse me while I take this off.
it's something I've been very interested in.
Shout out to
obviously.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah,
Shout out Neil deGrasse, if you're listening. Join our show, bro.
And I listen to your podcast.
I love you.
Bill, bring Bill.
You don't like Bill Nye the Science Guy, Bohn?
I love Bill, but do you guys listen to Neil deGrasse
know what it
Tyson's
is.
podcast?
I know what it is.
Yes.
Bill Nye fucked your girl, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. No, but have you listened
Mine
to
too.
Have you listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast?
Space Talk, right?
And Space Talk, and he brings Bill Nye in every now and then. And Bill Nye comes in. It's like he had this podcast about love, and he had a doctor on there, and Bill Nye comes on there, and he's just like, I'm horny, and it was just amazing. And it's just weird to hear Bill Nye say these things.
I'm trying to get with Bond's girl.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, yo, you're an asshole. But I was like, I love
Fuck
you
you,
still.
Bill.
It's cool, Bill. Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
So, yeah.
You made my childhood, but fuck you.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good opener.
Yeah.
Good opener.
That was a really long one.